Hi, this is Barbara Milton here with a bladder cancer diary update. It is July 2nd, 2020. I, as you know, have urothelial carcinoma. I've shared this with you many times. This is a particular kind of cancer that continues to grow in month after month, year after year. First diagnosed in July of 2012. And every 90 days or so, I have my scope into my bladder and into my kidney, my one kidney, because I had lost one of my kidneys already to this bladder cancer back in 2016. We're working really hard to keep this other kidney in my body because the cancer did show up there in October of 2018. So every 90 days I get a scope into my bladder, up the ureter, into my only left kidney, and the doctor looks for cancer. And if there's cancer, we deal with it. Whatever that means. The very first thing they do is they scrape it out, laser it out, close up all the arteries and blood vessels so I don't bleed. And then they do pathology on all the material that they've taken out. Sometimes it is cancer. Other times it's just atypical cells, rogue cells. Other times it's just scar tissue and inflammation. I've had over 150 tumors scraped out of my bladder since July of 2012. So there's a very fragile, tender bladder there that my doctors at Memorial Sloan Kettering are doing their absolute best to treat. I feel really good about the quality of care that I have. I'm all for Medicare for all. It matters to have affordable health insurance. And I do have affordable health insurance because I'm totally and permanently disabled, owing to my renal failure and bladder cancer, as well as a number of disc problems and mental health issues as well. Because when you're living with a chronic illness, it does impact you mentally. I have a lot of anxiety. I have a lot of bouts of depression, and I continue a battle around fighting post-traumatic stress disorder. And then I have like physical issues, mostly related to the fact that I am obese and have been for a long time, but I'm working on it very hard. I'm in a fellowship really working on that, and I'm doing much better. I have lost quite a lot of weight already, and I just know if I stay physically fit and if I stay spiritually fit and if I work on all my emotional issues and live a even kill life by incorporating meditation and yoga practice, emphasis on breathing, stretching my body, getting out to do what exercise I can on my recumbent tricycle bike, then I can have the benefits of some physical recovery of my body. It's a one day at a time kind of process, and that's what I'm doing. I'm so grateful for the time to focus on my health. And this bladder cancer has been a continual thing for 8 years now. And as I said, grateful for health insurance, grateful for good care. And let me tell you where I'm at today. Every 90 days I get this scope. My last one was 2 days ago on June 30th, Memorial Sloan Kettering Hospital. And I had that miraculous treatment that I shared with you before about the chlorophyll from the wisteria plant. TUCAD was the therapy that I had, the intervention I had back in July of 2019. And those results have been holding really well. In other words, I have not had new cancer inside of my kidney. What a miracle that is. So, March 24th was my last procedure. Then June 30th was my most recent one. And I'm still healing from that. The anesthesia, the irritation around the opening to my bladder because of all the instrumentation, the grogginess from the anesthesia, the bleeding that's happening when I'm voiding. So I'm really in recovery mode still, hydrating, really being careful about reintroducing my solid foods into my body, taking care to rest still and take care of my spine because it's never easy being on an OR table, even if it's for an hour. It wreaks havoc on my lower spine and my neck. Uh, but in terms of the urology, I got a call yesterday from the oncology nurse, and she said preliminarily they have received some of the pathology back, and this is a preliminary reading, but it seemed like what they scraped out of my bladder, and I was told they took a lot of tumor out of my bladder on Tuesday, that it looks like it may not have been cancer, that it could have just been atypical cells and scar tissue and inflammation of the lining of the bladder that they scraped out. And this is good news. Even though I always populate these tumors in my bladder, to have the potential for no low grade or high grade tumors in that random or targeted, I should say, removal of that material from my bladder, that would just be a real miracle. So it was preliminary. I'm really waiting for the definitive call right now. I should be getting it hopefully before the holiday, which is tomorrow. At the very latest, it usually takes a week to get back pathology. But more concerning is what they scraped out of the renal pelvis. That's the kidney. Because as I said, the last time there was nothing in the kidney. That chlorophyll treatment, the wisteria, the TUCAD, that seemed to be working. And no tumors were there the last few times I was scoped up into the kidney. So I'm still waiting on that news. And I'm hopeful it'll be similar to the news that we're hearing about the bladder. That would be good news indeed. Now, if it is low-grade cancer, then they already have a plan B ready for me. And I can tell you about that in my next installment of the Bladder Cancer Diary. This is just bringing you up to date here on July 2nd. I really appreciate you following me on this journey. Look, cancer isn't a death sentence always. Certainly there are many people who lose organs and lives to cancer. My heart goes out to everyone impacted by cancer. The richest nation in the world, the most brilliant minds are working on cures for all kinds of cancer. Bladder cancer is creeping up to be one of those top cancers in our country. More and more women are getting it. So look, if you go to the bathroom and you urinate and you see blood in the toilet, it's not supposed to be there. That is one of the number one symptoms of bladder cancer. So if you see blood in the toilet, get to a urologist. Let them get a scope in you. Let them see what's going on. It isn't the most unpleasant test to have the scope in the bladder. I've had it a lot of times. They put lubrication on the catheter. They slide it right in. They're very good at it. It does not hurt. And they can see what's going on. It is a little invasive. It isn't the most invasive. And God knows it isn't major surgery. Even my procedures that I have every 90 days is only considered surgery because I go under anesthesia. But if I could lay still and they could put the equipment up the ureter and into the kidney, I wouldn't need the anesthesia. But I do need to be perfectly still when they're putting all those instruments in, like lasers and things like that. So I recover rather quickly. It takes a couple of days to feel like myself again. And then we await the word, and then we do what the doctors recommend. And I said, I am so grateful I have health insurance. And I know I want to continue as a career social worker who's retired right now, but to continue to lift my voice up for people who do not have health insurance, because that